Persecution. In our time, there's no persecution because the crown is only with the horns. And the churches are not crowned. Yeah? They are also supposed to be submissive to the horns. You understand? But after that, we will go to the two-horned beast. The crowning is back again. That's why we hear of no crown in the two horns. Because this person, when he comes, he is going to... And I've heard people saying, the very first person is this one. No! No, how readest thou? It's not Papa Rome coming again there. No. This is another completely different people. And we're talking about the horns as civil. This one is civil. Yeah? It will be just from civil. This one. Huh? But what happened is that he is going to take an image of the first beast. An image of what was happening in the first. The first beast is this one, which was in the Dark Ages. And this one will take the image of that first and imitate what he did. This one. That's the myth that I want us to understand. Without mentioning who it is or whatever. But you know, I'm just giving you a hint. This one, if the horns are this for civil, this is civil. Two horns spoke like a lamb. And later, like a dragon. This is what is happening.
In one syllable.
In one syllable. So I'm just saying, sit down and enjoy what is happening. And now when you go into the TV, you actually know what is happening. So, What is happening there? Oh, there. Don't be left in darkness. Daniel, who wrote the prophets of Daniel, knew what was happening. That's why he interfered when Nebuchadnezzar wanted to kill all those soothsayers and whatever, when they failed to interpret the dream for Nebuchadnezzar. They failed, isn't it? But Daniel went and interjected, as he was a prophet. And he knew what was happening, and he just said, no way, hey, give us time. We'll come and tell you the dream. Yeah? So if you keep yourself in darkness, that's a problem. That's your problem. You've got everything there. Yes. Every news is there. News. Current news. And you should be knowing. And people in all countries, they will be voting. But those who are here, they know who is coming. And they know. Yeah, you waste your time going to witch doctors. They won't tell you. Go to prophets. Prophets will just read the prophets and read all the books that God has written about prophecy. What is happening right now? You know where to pick it from. You know where to pick it, and they say, all right, okay, this is going to happen. And after this, that, and after that, right up to the coming of Christ, and right up to the entering the kingdom, and right up to the entering heaven. You should know everything. Don't keep yourself in darkness. Don't keep yourself in darkness. You severing your connection with God without knowing. Study the prophets. Study the prophets, and God will enjoy. He enjoyed with Daniel, because he was a prophecy scholar. Yeah? And he even topped his knowledge by giving him visions. Visions. And he says with Daniel, he was given visions and knowing how to interpret them, the dreams and everything. On top of what he was being shown. Yeah? He was shown all these beasts. Imagine, they came to Daniel as a vision, as a prophet. Yeah? And John, he was in vision in the Lord's day, and I've heard people saying the Lord's day, which John was the Sabbath. That's what you don't know. The Sabbath, yes, is the Lord's day, but that's not the Lord's day. You will understand when we learn more about that. You find that it was the Day of Atonement. He was in the Lord's day. That's the day called the Lord's Day. It's the Day of Atonement, where the Lord enters into the Holy of Holies to see each name and decide. It is the Day of Atonement, which John was given all the visions. All the visions. Because that's the day you go on a fast. And after that fast, God is busy checking each life for every generation. That's what is called the Lord's Day. And I thought, it was on a Sabbath. No, it was the Lord's Day. It was the Day of Atonement. If you want more further clarification on that, we'll read together so that you come up and see that that is the Lord's Day. Yeah? Coming to Revelation 13, read again from verse 1.
Verse 1. And I stood upon the sand of the sea, and saw the beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and upon his horns 10 crowns, and upon his heads the name of blasphemy.
Right.
And the beast which I saw.
I'm hearing that why we say these are churches, because once you mention blasphemy, it's something to do with mixing the sacred and the holy, the common and the sacred. The common and the sacred, that's called blasphemy. You understand? So that's why we say the 7 heads are churches. But we'll nevertheless bring a correct interpretation which will show that these are churches. Right? And you're up to verse 3.
Verse 2 now.
Where did this beast come from?
The sea.
Now, let's see these other beasts in Daniel chapter 7. Where they are coming from. Daniel chapter 7, verse 3.
Verse 3. Daniel spake and said, I saw in my vision by night, and behold, the 4 winds of the heavens strove upon the great sea.
You see?
And 4 great beasts came up from the sea.
These 4 beasts were coming from the
sea.
Do you hear that in Revelation 13? This one is also coming from the
sea.
What does it mean? This is coming from commotions, wars, and whatever, isn't it? And voting for a leader there, a leader there, a leader there. This is how they took up this, like here is Babylon. It was conquest and commotion and everything, isn't it? And then here what happened, Tyrus and same thing. And here what happened in Alexander. There was a war veteran. He took that, and Greece came up after he had conquered all the world, isn't it? And also the same thing here, the political, and here it's also coming from the sea. Meaning, what is the sea? It's peoples, multitudes, and tongues. If you read it from Revelation 17, verse 15, it's peoples, multitudes, and tongues, nations and tongues. So it's coming from people. So what are we saying here? It's the present civilization. It's the present scenario. What is it like? This is the beast coming out. 7 heads, and read on. On Revelation 13.
And the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard.
Do you see there's a similarity with the beast where we are coming from? Yes. A leopard.
His feet were as the feet of a bear.
Do you see the feet? It's also taken from what we had, the bear.
And his mouth as the mouth of a lion.
And the mouth is also coming from what we had in the past. So it's a continuation of the world, of the same system which was there. That's what we are here. We are continuing, isn't it? But in our time, this is a complex beast. It's got all those things. It's got 7 heads. It's got 10 horns. It's got, don't just say, because this one was only one head and horn. You understand? But it's not a continuation of these 10. But this 10 is only there as a symbol of universal. This is the setup. This is the setup of the world, universal. Yeah? That's the symbol 10. Yeah? And the crown is just a symbol that the authority at our time is in the governments, in the civil, instead of in the churches. Yeah? But we are still going where the next one who is going to rule the world is when we have all those number 666 that we are yearning for. It will be now back to authority from civil. So these are the winds that are held, so that the 144,000 are sealed. Yeah? Right, let's proceed with Revelation 13.
And the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard, and his feet were as the feet of a bear, and his mouth as the mouth of a lion. And the dragon gave him his power and his seat and great authority. And I saw.
You see where this we are being told, as we saw in Revelation chapter 12, the dragon came with those. You understand? And now we are being told again the dragon is also giving authority. Yeah?
And I saw one of his heads. As it
but one of the head, we now know, we do identify this head. It's what Luther did, right? To stop the persecution and to start the Reformation. This is what Luther did.
And I saw one of his heads as it were wounded to death, and his deadly wound was healed, and all the world wondered after
But
this.
what we know now, because of this wound, it's a clue to us that what the reformers were dying for, they were reforming against the times and laws, isn't it?
Yes.
The times and laws are the ones that they were reforming against this, the beast in the dark ages, isn't it? And then when they did that, they inflicted a wound. But in our time, the deadly wound is healed. And it's not something that we dispute, because look at what are the times that we are keeping. We're keeping all these times that were introduced by the pagans, isn't it? Constantine came into the early Christian church and introduced pagan feast and pagan. Let's go and see exactly. Is it what the beast in the dark ages was changing? In Good News Bible, if you go to Daniel chapter 7, verse 25, are these the times and laws that we are seeing?
Daniel chapter 7, verse 25. He will speak against the supreme God and oppress God's people. He will try to change their religious laws and festivals.
This is what he did. He tried to change God's festivals. Yeah?
And God's people will be under his power for 3.5 years.
This is where we are seeing that the 1,260 days are the 3.5 years. If you can't go, the calculation is there in the topic on Daniel chapter 7 on one of these videos. You go and check for yourself and know how to calculate it, isn't it? But here we are saying the times and laws, the religious feasts were changed by year. Instead, what was introduced, the pagan religious feasts. Yeah? That's why people will tell you straight away that even Christmas is pagan. Yeah, it was introduced by Constantine, is pagan, isn't it? These were introduced after changing God's laws, isn't it? And people will say, no, I don't care, I don't mind, I don't. But this is something recorded in the Bible. It's recorded in the Bible. Yeah? The Bible has recorded that. Yeah? And then this is what happened, and it's there in prophets. That's why it's there in symbols. So that you and I will read and say, oh my goodness, is this what has happened before we were born? And you know what is right, what God is expecting. What is God expecting? He is expecting his times. If they were really changed, it's not only Sabbath only which was changed. It was all the religious festivals which were changed. Then you should know where you are if you are a subject of the kingdom. Yeah? That's why here he is speaking in symbols, because he knows it's the greatest war which anybody has done against heaven. Yeah? Go to Revelation 13. So here we said the wound is healed. And that terminology only shows you that there's nobody protesting. Amongst all these 7 churches, 7 is a symbol of all of them. There's no protest. There's no protest anymore, which was started by Luther and others who were protesting against these times and laws. There's no protest. And you've had people going to wrong dates of time of meetings and wrong dates of Lord's Supper, wrong time, they call it a supper during the day and yet it's done at night. There's no protest. The protest is gone. The wound has healed. The wound has healed. So this person who was doing his things there, remember when the woman was given wings to fly into the wilderness? You remember in Revelation 12? But what happened to the beast which was persecuting? Instead of persecuting, they said, let's change tactics and let's be friendly with the woman. Yeah? They befriended the woman. Because the killing of the saints was giving more rise to people, to more spread of Christianity. So for them, they said, no, if we kill, these people will spring more. So the only thing we can do is let's be friendly. While we be friendly, what happened? We bring our things where we are friends. That's why those who really love friends, they're in trouble. You have to be like Daniel. They have to be a Daniel. Because in making friends, you will be poisoned, polluted, unaware. Unaware you are polluted. So you have to be very vigilant. Because he made friends, the devil made friends now to make sure he changes. He will continue with the times and laws that he was changing. So this one now will enforce them. The two-horned beast will enforce those times and laws of the first beast. It will be done now in a civil authority. Well, we are expecting this one is finished his time. But this one who comes in the civil authority is going to copy the image of the first beast. What is the image of the first beast? It's a state and religious, church and state solution. That's the image of the beast. Why? Because this is church and state. On head, church and state. But in our time, we have no church and state. The state is all on its own, the churches are on its own. But we are going to a time where there is church, state. Whoever will be ruling in that famous position will rule the governments and also rule the churches. And there shall be a time of trouble such as never was. Should know where we are going. But here, while the winds are being held, you and I are free to read, free to preach, free to everything. This is just in this time. But when you come there, I'm happy because the 144,000 will be completely sealed, operating from Jerusalem where Christ was started the kingdom, and they are empowered already. They are the only ones who are going to proclaim the truth against this one. While the whole world is in commotion. That's when they will be collecting all these people to the kingdom. You should read the prophets in correlation to what is going to come, so that it will give you, if you say Christ is coming here, those who know that this one hasn't started, they know you are crazy somewhere. You are crazy somewhere. Because this beast hasn't come up into action. We are still here.
Yes.
And then we are talking about any time he comes. What we know here is, while we are still here with the 10 toes of the statue of Daniel, the kingdom came, a big stone came to the 10 toes, which is the kingdom. That's what we know. Yes. But we are talking of Christ coming in the clouds here. Go back and read. Because he comes, when the coming of him in the clouds is after this next beast is finished.
Yeah.
But we haven't started with this beast, of two-horned beast. We haven't. And you're talking of coming in the clouds. And hoping, Thessalonians chapter 4, verse 16, we are hoping. You should come back and finish here. He comes while we are in the 10 toes. In the days of these kings, the 10 toes, shall the God of earth establish a kingdom. That's Daniel chapter. Right. I read it. Daniel chapter 2, verse 44. So you should know what you are saying. And then people say, huh? I dreamed Christ had come. I said, huh? You're crazy. You're crazy. Yeah?
Verse 44. Daniel chapter 2, verse 44. And in the days of these kings, shall the God of heaven set up a kingdom.
In the days of which ones?
Those 10 ones.
10 toes. Yeah? In the days where we have Mary, clay, and silver. Yeah? In the 10 toes. You saw that stone which came. Shall the God of earth establish
a kingdom?
See? That's what we're expecting in the 10 toes. But here in the 2-horned beast, after the 666 years, separated people, some with 666 and some with God's mark. It's after this one. Yeah? Then we're expecting Thessalonians chapter 4 that you want. Don't expect the kingdom in a wrong time. The kingdom is here. And the coming of Christ in the clouds is after this one, the 2-horned beast. Then you now know, you understand prophecy.
Amen.
Good news. Let's go to good news. You see, Revelation 13 is loaded. We were dealing with Revelation 18 the other time, isn't it? And you saw how loaded it is. And Revelation 13 is really loaded. It's not a subject for one day.